What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas, and I'm your host for the Awakening World. And welcome. We've got a wonderful show tonight, and it's a special show. It's going to be unique. It's going to be different than anything we've done before, because we are now celebrating those unsung heroes who are creating the new paradigm. And we're going to meet live heroes, people. We have a scientist. We have an indigenous wise elder. We have an extraordinary human being who talks to our galactic family and serenades them. And we also have the archetype Sophia. It's a wide variety of beings that in their own unique and wonderful ways are creating the new paradigm, heaven on earth. It's coming, and it's coming because of the people we're going to meet tonight. And it's coming because of you, because if you're watching, you are part of the Global Peace Tribe, whether you know it or not. But for those of you who are watching on Facebook or on YouTube, I want to invite you to come on in and join us. You know, because of John and Summer Raymer, who run the Sign Network, we are on up to 100 different Facebook groups and pages. So thank you, John and Summer. They're going to be on our show next week, as a matter of fact. But come on in and join us, and it's really easy to do that. What you do is you're going to go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register. It's really, really easy. You just click this little link right there. That's going to take you to the registration button, and you're going to get the links to all of our shows. We do 3 shows every weekend: Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday. So for example, last night we honored Sharif Abdullah and Reverend Bridge Feltus. Of course, this is what we're doing tonight. And tomorrow we're going all the way down to Ecuador. We're going to meet Sri and Kira Ra and discover the amazing work that they're doing down there. We also do special shows, special events. So you want to become part of the Global Peace Tribe, so you get all of our emails, get all the replays, and can participate in what we're doing, because we are bringing the world together in wonderful ways. I also want to welcome all of our friends that are in the Zoom room, and I'm going and taking a see a lot of our, just so many people that I love that are regulars. And you know what to do. Tell us where you're coming from geographically. And I'd love to hear some of your suggestions for unsung heroes, because that's how it all started. In fact, I'm going to introduce the people you're going to see tonight. The first one to pop on is actually Kurt Johnson. And Kurt is part of the Evolutionary Leaders Network. He is who organizes the Synergy Circles. And he was the very first person when I suggested that we're doing Unsung Heroes. He popped right in and he said, Scott, I've got an unsung hero for you. And that's how we met Paul Mills. And so Dr. Mills is going to be with us tonight. And he is a scientist who's bringing some very important information into our world. As I thought about unsung heroes that I love right away, I thought of Chief Brother Phil. She filled in Jr. And sure enough, Kurt also had him on his list. He said, Scott, we got to also have Brother Phil. I said, you're right. So when Kurt and I agree on it, you know we got to do that. So welcome, Brother Phil, straight here from Burning Man. So we're going to get a little bit of the download of what took place at Burning Man. So that's going to be kind of fun. You know, there's another unsung hero that I love very, very much. And it's this man here, John Martin. I truly believe that John epitomizes where we're going as human beings, living in our hearts and singing and connecting and connecting between worlds. And John is building a beautiful bridge to our galactic family. So John, I love you and I'm so glad you're with us tonight. You truly are an unsung hero.
It's a great honor to be here. Love you, brother.
Thank you. And speaking of other worlds, our other unsung hero that we're going to be celebrating tonight is not here in body, but she's here in spirit form. And we're going to learn all about the goddess Sophia and the divine spark within and kind of her history, how she, kind of the archetypal look at her, but how she impacts us today. And we've got two scholars who have studied her and connected with her in their own ways. We've got Dan, who wrote the book all about the divine spark within, and Diana, who has directly connected with her. So we're going to learn all about Goddess Sophia tonight. So that's going to be a fun and unique experience. So welcome both Diana and Dan. Good to have you with us. And we always have music, and I'm really grateful. I think the musical artists that you see on the Awakening World are truly unsung heroes, because it's the artists that lead the way into the new paradigm, into the new world. And one of our favorite artists, Jamishka, is back. James and Ishka, together they are Jamishka. And so we're going to have a couple of songs from you guys. I'm really looking forward to that. And then finally, our beautiful beloved brother Omashar, who has become our house musician. Omashar is with us. He's going to play a couple of songs. And so it's going to be a really a lovely, lovely evening. And I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment because there's so many people that I see. And so I want to just acknowledge those of you who have your cameras on. Beautiful Eleanor Joy and Jeffrey Colebrook and Dia and Ayata, and there's Karen Eisenberg and Susan Woolridge and so many of our friends that are with us. And those of you that don't have your cameras on, we love you as well. So thank you very much for being with us. And I am now going to put the full spotlight back onto Jamishka, because we love to start with music. And these two beautiful souls, I don't know how they create as much sound and music as they do. They're like a full orchestra in two beings. So kick back and enjoy. And remember, move and groove. Jeffrey Colebrook, I'm counting on you to dance. And Mystic Abbot Jerry is with us. So let's move and groove to the music of Jamishka.
Let this art be beautiful. Let this one be good. Good enough to inspire yours to appear where it could not. And let this one be wonderful. Let this part be good. Good enough to inspire tears and a heart that felt used to hurt. Oh, oh, oh. by the beauty and mysteries of life. And I'm painting a tree standing so tall and free to help you remember what comes naturally. Oh, 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 and here's a tiny detail that I hope you'll notice well. A little part filled with so much care that it ripped your ties
Oh, beautiful ones.
We figured we'd start off with something a little softer today in honor of the theme. And that seemed like a good choice.
Those beautiful harmonies. And you've got something coming up for our friends that are in Oregon. Tell us about what you've got going on there.
Yeah, so I am also a visual artist, and I have some workshops coming up, some intentional creativity workshops on October 8th and 9th in Ashland. It'll be a 2-day immersive workshop, and we're going to be using ritual and meditation, and it's a drawing workshop. So we're going to be using pencil and a compass and paper, just simple tools, but usually that's the best way to go. So we'll be tapping into our heart's desire. It's called Drawing in Your Heart's Desire. And we'll be doing a lot of practices together to tune in with that and create a piece, an empowering piece of art that will help people to feel more connected to their magic and a sense of unity and tranquility in their everyday life.
Beautiful. So there it is. It's October 8th and 9th. You're in Ashland on the 8th, and then you're in Gold Hill, Oregon. On
Yeah, it's 2 locations.
2 locations.
And the Gold Hill location is actually an institute that we're helping create over long term. It's one of the reasons why we spend time up here, called Eagle's Landing, and it's a whole other part. Yeah. So that's a nice little way we can bring some community over to this pretty amazing space that we're helping to create together.
Yeah, we're starting at the Apothecary in downtown for people who are aware of the Apothecary. And then the next day will be a bigger, more full-length day, afternoon, up on the mountaintop at the Institute. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful place, really inspiring, expansive place.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing it. I might be actually in Oregon, not then, but next week. So we'll be in touch.
When you are, let us know, and please come visit. Come have some tea.
Absolutely. And they're going to be back with us. We're going to hear more from Jamishka later on in the show. But just a reminder that you can find all things Jamishka by going to the website. And again, it's the name, James, and then Shka. So it's JAMEE, 2 E's, SHKA.com, Jamishka.com. And we'll come back. We'll take a look at more of what you're doing. Maybe take a look at some of your artwork after your next time. So much for being with us.
Thank you, Scott. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And that's the song we usually begin both shows and ceremony with. So may it bring a welcome to all of the wonderful things in store tonight. Thank you, Scott, and everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to introduce Kurt Johnson. And Kurt, you've seen on the show, for those of you that are regulars, he's been on the show a few times, and he'll be on the show again next week as we're introducing Peace Week. But I want us to just really appreciate this amazing man. Kurt is one of the hardest working people I know. He accomplishes so much, it's remarkable. And he's very involved with, of course, the Evolutionary Leaders Network. But a little bit going back a ways, he's worked in professional science and comparative religion for over 40 years, serving on many international committees, including at the United Nations. He's been a big part of Unity Earth and the Interspiritual Dialogue Network. He's created the Convergence series on Voice America, co-editor of the Evolutionary Leaders anthology book that we did a whole show around, Our Moment of Choice, the Evolutionary Visions and Hope for the Future. He's constantly gathering articles and magazines and putting things together and really helping us to all stay connected. And he brings together his unique understanding of science, spirituality, community. I mean, you also are truly an unsung hero creating a new paradigm, Kurt. So I honor you. And I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce your friend and colleague, Dr. Paul Mills.
Yeah, so Scott, thank you so much. And yeah, so first of all, I'm going to tell you about Paul Mills, and then I'm going to tell you why we're here. So Paul Mills, PhD, is the professor of public health and family medicine and director of the Center of Excellence for Research and Training in Integrative Health, and the former chief of behavioral medicine at the University of California, San Diego. To give you a little bit more of a clue of why we're here also, he is the director of research for the Deepak Chopra Foundation. So he has published over 400 scientific publications in the fields of pharmacology, oncology, cardiology, psychoneuroimmunology, behavioral medicine, and integrative health. And he published some of the first important research on meditation. And his work has been featured in Time Magazine, the New York Times, National Public Radio, New York News and World Report, Consumer Reports, Huffington Post, Gaia TV, and WebMD, among many others. And he's presented his work at hundreds of conferences around the world, including at the United Nations. And actually, the reason then that we're here is his new book, Science, Being, and Becoming: The Spiritual Lives of Scientists. And to tell you then who we are the Light on Light Press, which I'm sure you're familiar with. We are an imprint of Sacred Stories. You can find us at lightonlight.us. You can find Sacred Stories at sacredstories.com. And the backstory there is real simple. I think you all know our magazines, which are all free at issuu.com/lightonlight. And after so much success with the magazines and Voice America, Sacred Stories came to us and said, wow, if we could start doing books, we could even get more substantial stuff out there for all you wonderful people. So the reason Paul is an unsung hero, but soon to be sung about a lot, is because, as he'll tell you, he has spent all of these years on this really, really interesting and fascinating and urgent topic about the coming together of science and religion as we start to understand how really important and well-known scientists, once they're able to talk about it, can talk about what their experience has been in this straddle between spirituality and science. So here is Paul, and actually Scott and I are going to take turns asking him about his book. Also want to say that we're so excited that we're in contract with him for a second book, which will build out from his first book. The first book is 30-some neuroscientists talking about this experience. Some of them are really well known. One's up for a Nobel Prize in medicine. And then we're going to be doing in a second book where Paul's going to extend this research out to economics, philosophy, cosmology, evolution, and all the other areas of science. So we're just really excited about this dialogue coming forward in such an important way. So Paul, the first question that we wanted to bounce off of you was, tell us in your own words, what is this book about?
Thank you, Kurt, for your very kind introduction and all the support you've given me to get this book out there. The book's literally about the spiritual life of scientists. As Kurt said, I interviewed over 30 primarily biomedical scientists, and I interviewed them at length and asked them about their transpersonal, their metaphysical, and their mystical experiences. And these were very intimate conversations They shared with me their life and experiences, some of the earliest things from when they were in childhood. Some of them had these metaphysical awakenings more when they were adults. And then we discussed how those insights and revelations and really personal transformations altered their scientific trajectory, or for some, how it actually launched them on the scientific path. That's the content of the book, in addition to some of my own stories in there. And also we have some material just on the, what we could call the consciousness development journey that all of us are on, and that we're all entitled to be on. And it's about really to the spiritual unfoldment of humanity.
Yeah, Paul, thanks so much. And one thing I wanted to mention is what's really amazing about this book is it's not just an anthology. What Paul has done is he's really mapped from all of these discussions with these scientists, what is the whole nature of this straddle? Why has it been so difficult? And what's the nature of why it's taken so long for these two different areas to come together? So that really leads us, Paul, to the second question is, why did you write this book? And we were so excited when you presented it to us. So that's the question. Why did you write it?
Yes, there were a couple of reasons. And the first I'll mention is that at the University of California, where I've been for over 30 years, I got a reputation for being very open to discussing spiritual matters. So I often had students knock on my door and asking if they could speak with me about certain things, of which I was very open. And through time of those conversations, I realized that we need material out there that give young scientists and other people really permission to know that it's okay to get out of the materialistic mindset, to embrace their own spiritual and cosmological development. So that was one reason. But another reason, and really perhaps I could say a bigger reason, and I'm going to share it with you, and it's very relevant to the opening video that you showed, Scott, about the inspiration for this work. And this experience that also led me to the book was an encounter with I'll have to say, a vast cosmological being that shared with me what the future development of humanity is. And this being essentially told me that it had been watching humanity for eons upon eons, tracking our spiritual development. And it was keenly interested in the day when we will ultimately manifest the reason we were created. And it showed me all this through images and, it's kind of a standard telepathic communication. But ultimately, it showed me that in the future, when humanity is advanced enough, humanity will manifest into our physical dimension, often called the third dimension, love. Literally, love will become a physical entity manifestation in creation. And that's what this being's waiting for. And that inspired me to write the book, because I wondered, well, what have I, as a biomedical scientist, been doing to help support this future trajectory of humanity? And then I also wondered, what about other scientists? What are they doing? So I started interviewing people and asked them, what's your spiritual life about? Are you evolving? What's your science doing? How are we helping support the stage for the future evolution of humanity, the current and future?
That's an incredible story of your experience. And thank you for sharing that. And I'm just curious, how has talking to all these other scientists shaped your personal journey? Now, we got a good taste of your personal journey by having this extraordinary experience. How does talking to the others, how is it evolving your personal journey of life?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. It was incredibly inspiring speaking with all these scientists, and how it affected me is it gave me more confidence to just keep moving forward in my own work and in my own spiritual trajectory. It was beautiful to hear them speak and share. And within that sharing, and something I noted in the book, it actually filled me with a little bit of regret, because some of the scientists I interviewed, I've known for many, many years. But we always met at scientific conferences, and at those conferences, we're there to discuss science. And all of us had our kind of spiritual, mystical lives in a closet, because it typically is frowned upon to speak about these things. And historically, it can have adverse effects on one's scientific career and academic advancement. And so that's why I'm saying I had a little bit of sadness that I didn't know about the depths of those folks, and nor those I didn't share with them either. So there's that piece. So broadly, it's given me confidence to just keep going and to disseminate this information, which we're doing with the this publication with Light on Light Press.
Yeah, and Paul, when we first met, we've done so many things with Deepak, and Deepak is so generous with the evolutionary leaders, and as interested as everybody is across the world to get these two worlds, talking together and experiencing each other in the way that you mentioned. So actually, Deepak Chopra has written the foreword for this book, really insightful foreword about exactly what Paul's been talking about. And then Ken Wilber, who you all know, Ken Wilber has come in and written a special commentary on the book, which is in the book as well, again, about why this is so important right now. So Paul, that actually leads to the next question is what has been this problem with this false divide between the world of science and the experience of spirituality?
Yeah, I'd say the problem is multifold, multidimensional. Let me speak about the problem for scientists themselves initially. So when the world of the spiritual was sort of closed off as a no place to go for science some centuries ago, and that is a tradition, as all of us know on this call, where scientists generally don't want anything to do with the so-called mystical, the metaphysical, for reasons I said a moment ago. But unfortunately, over the generations, the vast majority of scientists now, I would say, are highly materialistic. They don't even believe the spiritual world exists. They don't believe in things like the mystical. They don't believe that love is a foundation of creation itself. They have no experiential insight into it. To me, that's a very sad thing. So that's one of the primary fallouts of this false divide that was occurred. The other is that we as societies around the world, we look to science to show us what's true, to show us advancements in all things in the world. And essentially, science has been unable and unwilling to do work to show us our deep, innate, historical, mystical nature and where we're heading into the future. It's been off the table. And I'll also add that materialistic sciences, the way they're done, we all know, can lead to many things being developed and created and disseminated that are harmful. They're harmful for us as human beings. They're harmful for the natural world. They're harmful for the earth, not life supporting, certainly not spiritually supporting. So there's another downside and reason why this kind of false divide has to end. And it is ending.
Yeah, Paul, thanks so much. And I'm going to do one more and then throw you back to Scott. But what's interesting is I think many people on this broadcast were surprised that you would open by talking about the direct experience that you had that led you to writing this book, where here you are, a well-known and well-positioned scientist, and suddenly, because you have this direct experience of, and then you bring that to your world of knowledge about, you're in this really amazing way to express and share the straddle with other people. So what I thought I'd ask is, share with us one of the other stories from the book where you felt a scientist had an extraordinary experience and also reacted that in a way that brought forward this really wonderful straddle between those two dimensions.
Okay, let's see. I've got to go into my archive here. So many fantastic stories, but one pops up. So his name is Dr. William Bushell, and he's a medical anthropologist by training. He had a fascinating story, and basically he spent most of his life, he got his PhD in anthropology, and he was traveling the world studying spiritual traditions of other cultures and other countries. And the interesting thing is, all the while, he actually didn't believe in anything spiritual. He had no spiritual life. He didn't believe it was all true, but he just thought, well, somebody's got to study it. I'll do it. So he traveled the world and he would interview people from different cultures. And what happened to him that awoke him is a beautiful story. And he was home one afternoon. He was in his mid-50s at this point, and he went down to rest. And within a few moments, he essentially had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. And in this Kundalini awakening, a goddess appeared above him, as he described it. And it's a beautiful description, and I do my best in the book to share it with what he shared with me. And this divine being, he called it the Kini, a goddess appearing to him, and they had this exchange. And amongst one of the most profound after effects of the exchange is this. He understood, he essentially had an experience of what he called, and what is commonly called, immanent divinity. Through that experience, he, for the first time in his life, he absolutely knew and experienced in his whole system himself as a divine being, as well as a human being. That's the immanent divinity. we as humans and our divinity together. And since then, he's been, of course, a transformed person. His work is different. How he approaches his work and how he approaches his everyday living, he said, is now radically different. And that's one of the beautiful stories I had the pleasure of hearing.
Great, Paul. And so I'm going to throw you back to Scott. But what I wanted to mention is that this is exactly the reason that not only are we excited about this book, because everybody, when you read this, these are not just marginal scientists. These are people who are very well positioned, and they finally have permission now to talk about what their experiences have really been. And that's why we're so interested in moving on to the second book, where Paul can talk to people in economics and in philosophy and in cosmology and the evolutionary sciences. And I just wanted to mention, because Brother Phil is on the show, obviously all of you have already seen the nexus here between this type of direct experience and what is actually just completely implicit in the experience of First Peoples and the whole areas of the shamanic arts and the healing arts and shamanism. So this all gets wrapped together. So Scott, over to you to bounce a question off Paul.
Wow. I'm really enjoying this a lot, and it's so what the awakening world is all about. So again, thank you, Kurt, for bringing Paul into our audience. I'm just curious about two possible people you may have interviewed. Jeffrey Colebrook, who's one of our regulars, is wondering if you spoke to Nassim Harriman. And I'm curious if you spoke to Dr. Kenneth Ring, who did all the near-death experience research.
I have not, I'm sorry to say. There's a whole list that we've been compiling for the second book. And I even had other scientists for the first book, but there was only so many we could fit into one book and tell a good story, one that's readable and enjoyable. So book 2.
Okay, great. I definitely will turn you on to Dr. Kenneth Ring if you don't know him. I thought of him just now when you're telling the story about the other scientist who was doing it even though he didn't believe. Same thing. Dr. Kenneth Ring was a clinical psychologist, and he set out to study near-death experiences to prove his theory that it was just the brain shutting down. And after doing comparative analysis and research over 10 years on over 300 people who had near-death experiences, he had come into a very similar, I think, place where you are, of, oh my God, there is this extraordinary divinity, this extraordinary oneness, this extraordinary thing. So anyway, he would be a good one for you. I have a question, and this is a little bit off the ones that maybe you've been asked before, but some of my friends that are in the scientific community have said that there is a growing consensus among some thinkers that the Great Bang took place when a higher intelligence pressed an enter button, if you will. That what we're experiencing, this holographic universe, this experience of life, is actually that God, if you will, is a higher intelligence that created all of this. And that's really what the Big Bang was. And I'm curious if that has shown up with some of your people that you've interviewed, and just kind of your thoughts on that possibility.
Sure. So a couple of things. One of the folks I've interviewed for the second book, Jude Curvin, speaks about this very much so. That's been her experience. She speaks about not the Big Bang, but the Big Breath. I'm not a physicist or a cosmologist, but from my own personal experience, roaming the strata of consciousness, yes, that is my experience. The universe is clearly a conscious being. The universe itself, as we know it, we could call the mind of the Godhead. We are experiences within the Godhead itself. We are these personalized consciousnesses reflecting upon our own existence and everything else, but essentially this one big living being. And I'd love to see all scientists wake up to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually working on a book now with Jude to expand this conversation out, because one of the big issues that comes up in science and just between people of direct experiences, is the universe a dead universe, or is the universe actually a living universe that is also sentient? Is it driven by causal source in the way that we understand in the wisdom traditions of God or ideas of source? And what we see so clearly from Nassim's work and Jude's work is that the new cosmology from the new physics helps us understand what they call enfolding, how the universe was created in a way that is not only living, but it's sentient relative to being an entire superorganism of almost imaginable proportions that's so interconnected in how it works and how it drives itself. So Paul, say some more about this book. I want to say people in the chat mentioned Eben Alexander, and Eben is one of the commentaries in the book. So you might give us a little bit more landscape across the book, and then we can see where we're at with Scott, since we certainly don't want to take time from any of our other guests. So this gets so fascinating, we could go on and on. So Paul, tell us a bit more about just the whole landscape of the book.
Okay, so the landscape of the book, as you had mentioned earlier, Kurt, Deepak Chopra wrote the foreword, and Ken Wilber has a special commentary. In addition to the content that I've contributed through the interviews and some other material, we have what are called spotlights in the book, and there are 4 of them. And Eben Alexander did write one of them. And the reason for the spotlights is we wanted to go into greater depth into certain topics that have high relevance to the book itself. So for example, I asked Eben to write a book based on his own experiences, having been in academia, having an awakening experience. Write an article that can give young scientists and older scientists who have had these experiences and now they need to reorient to their work. They realize through self-revelation, it's not materialistic. I'm more than this body-mind system. I am so much more. How am I going to go forward in my work, into my life for this? So that's what Eben wrote. It's a beautiful spotlight. We have 3 other spotlights, one by Dr. Robert Atkinson, who's also an editor at Light on Light with Kurt. And he wrote a spotlight on the topic of the movement, the natural innate movement of consciousness itself to evolve and evolve and evolve towards greater unity. We have another
one other thing too, before I throw back to Scott. What I found really interesting in reading the book, and it'll parallel everybody's experience about awakening to non-dual consciousness. Some people had these awakenings very incrementally. It's very, very interesting. Others had really catastrophic interventional experiences where out of the blue, this dimension showed up to them. And others had known about it from the time that they were child. The story about Rudy Tanzi, and he would play a game with his sister when they were like in single digit age about disappearing everything. And when they disappear everything, they would actually go into a non-dual consciousness and feel that incredible ecstasy of that connection with everything. So there's so much of a landscape in the book that's just amazing.
Yep. That was a great story. He has several great stories in there, actually.
He does.
I'll just summarize with the final 2 spotlights. One by Professor Dusanna Dorje, and she's in the United Kingdom. She wrote a book on the importance of compassion and the value of compassion meditation as a mechanism, as a quality of our soul that can really help us manage non-dual experiences, how to stabilize them, and how to help forward our spiritual development. And then the other spotlight is written by Professor Markides, who's up in Maine, and he wrote a spotlight on the topic of the historical relevance and importance of metaphysical and mystical experiences. And his work, academic work, he's traveled the world too, studying mystical experiences and metaphysical experiences, understanding them, what they mean to people and how they fit into cultures, religions, philosophy. So his is the first spotlight in the sequence in the book to help set the stage, because some of the early material, people start reading and say, what is this nonsense, metaphysical, mystical? This guy's off his rocker. But the purpose of this particular spotlight is to put it all in a greater context and hopefully be more acceptable and understandable.
Yeah, and I'm going back to Scott now to close this out, but I want to mention, if you don't know, Rudy Tanzi is the head of neuroscience at Harvard. But also what was outed about him in this book, because people in this area are multi-talented, he was in the original cast of Aerosmith, of the band Aerosmith. So he's another great polymath. So you musicians out there, get acquainted with Rudolph Tanzi.
That's great. Well, I've been putting it in the chat box. And Paul is clearly he's written quite a few books. But of course, the one we're talking about is Science, Being, and Becoming, the Spiritual Lives of Scientists. It's coming out next month. You can pre-order it here. I've put the link into the chat box. And Dr. Mills, what a beautiful work that you're doing. I am really I am going to order the book right away. and probably invite some of those people to be on the show. Eben Alexander has been on the show before. And thank you for the promotion, because Jude Curvin is our keynote speaker 1 week from tonight. Jude's
Fantastic.
been on the show twice before. She's our keynote speaker next Saturday night. So thank you. You already did a little bit of promotion for us for next weekend. And I would love to continue this dialogue and love to have you come on again, because you're doing just such wonderful, wonderful work.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me on your show. And Kurt, thank you for introducing me and supporting me.
I'm going to keep the spotlight on Kurt for a moment. I'm actually adding a wonderful new friend, Hallelujah Anasuya. I love that name, Hallelujah Anasuya. It rhymes. And both Kurt and Hallelujah are going to be featured on next Friday night's show. You know, Peace Week is coming. We are in the 99 days of unity, global unity are happening. We're coming up to Peace Week. And so next Friday night, the 16th, Kurt and Hallelujah and Ben Bowler and John and Summer Raymer and myself are going to be previewing all the Peace Week activities. And so since they're both with us live tonight, I thought we'd do a little extra early promotion for next Friday night. And Kurt, what are you most excited about that's going to happen on Peace Week?
Well, I think some of you may not know that what is now Peace Week virtually and able to do so many things through the World Wide Web has been around for 20 years. I'm here in New York and I'm on several committees at the UN, and the celebrations of the 11 days of unity toward the International Day of Peace has gone on for decades. But the chance to take that now internationally online with what's happened in the cyber world has been fantastic. So as we'll tell you, this will be a whole week of program, and actually starts on the 11th of September, which is right around the corner. And actually it's a combination of what Ben Bowler and John Raymer do with peaceweek.org. That's where to find them. And that's 99 days through peace, of peace through unity with Sign and Unity Earth. And then the 11 Days of Global Unity, which you can find again at 11daysofglobalunity.org, which is always what's been done every year by We the World and we.net. And now that's also paired up with the One World Global Peace Forum. So let's just talk about all of it now, but that's the history. It goes back a long time, but the chance to now to celebrate it online with so many guests from all around the world is just the way things work now in our modern age.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kurt. And Hallelujah, what are you going to be providing, or what are you excited about that's going to be happening during Peace Week?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for hosting these literally illuminating conversations every weekend. Like, what a gift to have a sacred space dedicated to spreading music, magic, love, miracles, joy, and wisdom. I mean, come on now, this is absolutely brilliant. So first of all, thank you, Scott, for that. What I'm most excited about, I'm excited about a lot of things for next week for the Peace Week movement, but the one I'm really excited about, I must say, is the one I'm organizing on the 22nd, which is honoring the Divine Mother, a path to peace. And really talking about with several experts, boy, did I just draw a blank? No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Okay, it'll come back to me. Oh my goodness. Okay, but beautiful people will be on this panel talking about their relationship to the Divine Mother. And we're intentionally, I'm gathering people who have not only walked personally with the Divine Mother and had experiences with her, but that are from different cosmologies. So we really get a taste of what it's like to be with the Divine Mother when she's in the Maori land in New Zealand, with the Maori people, with Native American people in the Americas, in the African cosmology. Of course, with the Black Madonna, Tara, Kali, from that sphere. So China Gallon, so I was trying to think of, oh my goodness. So it's just gonna be a wonderful celebration of how our relationship and our walk with the Mother and allowing her to come through us and with us and for us has brought peace to ourselves and is a source and a path to peace for this world that is so fractured by all the isms, which are all created by patriarchy. So what happens when we bring the mother back to our hearts, to our consciousness, to our speaking, to our worship? What happens when we nurture and reawaken for some, resurrect for some others, introduce for some, that she is alive, she exists, and she's never been gone. We just were not taught about her. And so
I love your passion, I love your excitement, I love your wisdom. And I'm really looking forward to you being with us next week and beyond. So
yes, so I'll be here next week for just to share the joy of the entire celebration of peace and how through many paths we can cultivate peace in ourselves, because we can't have peace in the outside world without it in ourselves. And it starts with being at one with I say it starts with being at one with the divinity, our innate divinity. So I love that we started off that with Paul Mills in this discussion with Kurt. Just love it.
I'll actually put a link into the chat that has all of the Peace Week events. So that'll give you a great link where you can run through everything that's going on for through that whole week. And it's exciting. It's so amazing, like I said, that now we're in the virtual world, whereas before the web, this was all at the United Nations and other places, but was unable to connect to the much wider Ubiverse that we're in now. So Scott, thank you so much for the preview.
Absolutely. And so that's going to be next weekend. And again, a good website to start at is peaceweek.org.
Yes.
Peaceweek.org. Register to attend.
And it's free, just so we know that registration is free as in a gift to humanity. This is a gift that we're offering. So share the gift, share the love, share the message, share the week, let more people come.
Absolutely. All right, so while all of you are clicking through, I'm going to turn it over to our beautiful beloved brother Omashar, because we already have a lot to integrate. All that we've heard from Paul and Kurt, and now Hallelujah, all that's going to be taking place next week. So, beloved brother Omashar,
I know. We've had a full show already. Holy smoke! And thank you, Hallelujah, for your vibration, and I feel the Divine Mother reflected in me through you. Thank you. And right. And Paul, I was aware of some of your work through the Chopra Foundation. I even believe that, I don't know if I believe, that you led a meditation that was online meditation one day through the Chopra Foundation, something there.
Which meditation?
Through the Chopra Foundation. I think that did you not lead a meditation series or something?
Yes, one of the things, I did do a lot of work there, including we've conducted some of the earliest research on whole person medical systems.
Right.
And we disseminated that through the biomedical and some other literature.
Because when you came up onto the screen here, I thought, Deepak, he's a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
I need to get on with my song, but I'm just so full of everything that's happening. One more thing is my daughter, we used to go to school with Nassim Harriman's son. And so we used to hang out in parent-teachers meetings and picking up our kids after school. He had this was in Kauai, in Hawaii, and he had his center there before he moved back to the mainland. And so that was my meeting with Nassim. And yeah, he's the real deal, a beautiful, beautiful man. And so this song is called I Give My Life, and it's divine consciousness to and from, the lyrics are, and so I shall get on with it. And Jeffrey and Eleanor, start shaking you. You ready? Move. I give my life into your hands. I share my love across the land. I show my trust and faith in you. I know that you will lead me through. We know that our world is changing faster than we can imagine. We know that our days, they are numbered. This is our wake-up call.
Across the land, I show my trust and faith in you. I know that you will lead me through. Look into your divine nature. Look into your lotus heart. We are the new masters. We are the golden ones. Come one and all to the party and drink of the holy water. It's time to transcend limitation. Time to be truly free. I give my life into your hands. I share my love across the land. I show my trust and faith in you. I know that you will lead me through. Take it down. I give my life into your hands. I share my love across the land. I show my trust and faith in you. I know that you will lead me through once again.
Wow. That was happy and fun. Thank you. Thank you so much, Omar.
Happy and fun and divine conscious.
Hey, I want to remind everybody that, of course, you can see Omar every weekend on The Awakening World, but you can also get him on Bandcamp. And it's really great for us to support all of our artists, and especially our house musical artists. So just go to omashar.bandcamp.com.
That circle at the top there was a gathering that I was playing music at in Bali, and we were just on the beach there. It was phenomenal. Yeah, it was really lovely.
Wow. We'll have to do a Global Peace Tribe retreat in Bali.
Yes.
Omar will be back for more a little bit later on in the show. And hey, I want to remind everybody to keep yourselves muted. You might have noticed that there was kind of a loud whirling sound during part of his song, and it was because one of you was not muted. I found you and I muted you. But
I know, I thought someone had opened the window or something. It's like, what is that?
Yeah, there's this big whirling sound. It was one of the just the way it was happening on one of the people that was that weren't muted. So we have to remember it's a Zoom meeting, so you guys gotta keep yourselves muted. All right, and thank you everybody for dancing and grooving to the music. Well, it's my honor to introduce one of the most beloved members of our community. And of course, I'm talking about beautiful, beloved brother Chief Phil Lane Jr. Phil, I've only known him for a couple of years, but he's one of those people that everyone loves him. And I personally, I'm going to talk a little bit about his background, but I just want to lead by saying I so appreciate his passion. Everything Phil does, he does with passion. So in the next few minutes as he speaks, he might cry, he might get angry, he might, he might dance, but whatever he does, he's going to do it with a lot of love and a lot of passion. A little bit about his background. He is an enrolled member of the Yangtan, Dakota, and Chickasaw nations. He's an internationally recognized leader in human and community development. He was born at the Haskell Indian School in Lawrence, Kansas, and he has extensive experience in his own cultural traditions. He's an award-winning author and film producer, receiving national and international recognition for the work he's done around the world to promote freedom and justice for Indigenous people. He's all about love and doing everything with love. truly an unsung hero. You do represent the different nations coming together. And I love how you acknowledge the pain of the past, the still inappropriate prejudice and bias in our world, and yet you still have an open heart towards all of us and all people. And it's appropriate that behind you is a peace pole, because you are a peace pole with a big heart and 2 arms and 2 legs walking around our world. You are a living peace pole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brother Scott. And I really want to give my heartfelt thanksgiving to Dr. Mills for the beautiful presentation, because it is so true that science without spirituality becomes a Frankenstein, and spirituality without reason becomes fanaticism. And I think that goes back to the fundamental understanding we have as Indigenous people about the prior unity and oneness of our human family in all life. And the hurt of one is the hurt of all. And the healing, the upliftment, the honor of one is the upliftment and honor of all. And so thank you so much, because this is one of those sacred realities that is now unfolding as we understand and more the oneness of our human family. And I really enjoyed the speaking about how some relatives believe this womb world we're in here is the only one. It's pitiful, actually. Because when we think about it, when we were born into the womb world of our mother, and now they even see as a flash of light, we know that each of us is born a sovereignty, ancient, imperishable, and everlasting. We're born from the universal sea or ocean of consciousness that lies beyond this physical world of time and space. And yet, to help us understand this journey, here we are in the womb world of our mother, being sustained completely from this world outside the womb world. And here we are growing our arms and legs and eyes and ears. For what purpose? Certainly, if we were to breathe in the amniotic fluid, we'd drown. But yet we're developing arms and legs and eyes and ears and our senses. All those dimensions of our being, of our earth suit, that we don't need inside the womb world. Now, when we're inside that womb world, like some of the scientists, we might believe that's all there is. We're inside this world. And yet those without the womb world, our mother, our fathers, our relatives, they know we're here in this world. And yet, although we become aware, our elders tell us, before we begin our journey into this world, that's why we have certain sacred songs for the children in the mother's womb. We're told that at that time, you should only say good, quiet, beautiful things around the mother. She should touch soft things. She should smell beautiful smells, because all that is impacting the epigenetic development of that child. But then, just like we don't know we're going to leave this world, we don't know exactly when we're going to be born in this world either. That time comes. And first of what comes is water. And we begin making our journey. And it's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey to leave one state of being to another. Just like right now, what our human family is going through is no different. But in time, we come into this world. I've been there, and I want to just honor womankind for this incredible gift they have. This incredible suffering they go through to bring us into this world. And here we are born. Do I carry around my placenta? No. I told one of my daughters, she said, oh, that's gross, Dad. No, I leave it behind. We even have ceremonies We put that placenta up. That was took care of us in the womb world. And now I have this, what I call my earth suit. My earth suit. So what's my purpose here? Well, certainly I can tell you it's 78 winters. It's not to continue growing my earth suit. That's for sure. That's for sure. Because we wear out. That doesn't mean we should ever feel like we're getting old. I believe just like the 400-meter run. It's okay what you do in the first 100 meters. That's good. Second 200 meters, third 300 meters. What really counts is that last 400 meters. That last 100 meters, that's when you have to dig in deep in your soul. And I think it's important to mention the soul, because that's that dimension of ourselves that transcends time and space of this physical world. And I want to mention a little bit about the soul, because that's that part of us that is a purpose to develop in this plane of existence, to become more kind, more compassionate, more loving, more just, more insightful, more wise, more forgiving. And this is my conclusion after these years I've been on this journey. Our soul is independent of and the very source of our body's existence. If our body is destroyed, our soul and spirit remain unharmed. Our soul, our human spirit, is independent of our physical body. Our soul is free and sanctified beyond this physical plane of time and space. All the powers that distinguish us as human beings, reason, memory, abstract thought, creativeness, inventiveness, willpower, are all properties of the soul, not the body. A love that anyone may have had for anyone will not be forgotten in the spiritual worlds, nor will we forget this life we had in this physical body. I'll close that there, because I want to talk about Burning Man. You know, one of the principles that came to me in 1967 in March, when I had a very similar experience to what we've been describing, and my life changed from one that was going right down the tube, because I was so full of hatred and anger about what had happened to our indigenous people. I was so angry, so full of hurt about that. I didn't show it. I left, except on the athletic field. And I went there, when I went to wrestle, that was George Armstrong Custer across me, and I wanted to hurt him. I mean, hurt him bad. And I did, if I could. Played football the same way. Anything I did that way. Except when I had to 2 times wrestle 2 other indigenous people. But you know, me talking yappy, my beloved relatives, hatred and anger and rage takes you nowhere but down the tube. In order to maintain that, alcohol, drugs, unhealthy relationships, till finally I was down, completely down. And then I encountered this very, very sacred tablet, the tablet of Akhmat. And I had no idea where it came from, how it came to me, but all of a sudden, I had this experience like a fire was burning throughout my body. And I experienced oneness. Now, that's not to say, by the way, somehow I've achieved any kind of sainthood, because I certainly haven't. Because there's always this teaching, right, which actually originates from the Quran, one of the many holy books I've read. It says, you think you say you believe and will not be tested? Of course we're tested. There's been some pretty tough ones along the way. It wounded pretty deeply sometimes. But after a while, I always say that you get enough bullets in the front, arrows in the back, it kind of become transparent, kind of whiz through. There's another one. And I think the fundamental thing that when I went to Burning Man, I was invited there by my Tushka, Brock Pierce, to come down and experience this. And I'm very open and transparent because I feel like we should share, especially at this time of dramatic change, our hearts and souls with our relatives. So we can all be connected, be transparent. And so some relatives said, what in the world are you doing? You're going to Burning Man? Well, for me, I believe in the independent investigation of truth for our own selves. And there's a little book called The Hidden Words I was thinking about tonight. Talks about justice. And at the foundation of oneness, when you understand the oneness of our human family, the oneness of all life, then the organizing principle is justice. From that justice, we have then the understanding the eagle has two wings, one is man and one is woman, and both must have equal power, respect, and honor, or if the eagle will fly its highest. With oneness, we understand the two potent forces in human life, science and spirituality, are the same wings of the same eagle. With this understanding of oneness, we're one human family, then the extremes, growing extremes of wealth and poverty have to become balanced. We have to have universal education. Every human being has a right to education. But before I want to share this about justice, because I think it's so important. O children of spirit, the best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away if you desire me, and neglect it not, that I may confide in thee. By its aid you shall see with your own eyes, and not through the eyes of others, and shall know of your own knowledge, and not through the knowledge of thy neighbor. Ponder this in your heart, how it behooves you to be. Verily, justice is my gift to you and the sign of my loving kindness. Set it then before your eyes. And so I went to Burning Man with an open heart to see for myself. You know what I found? I found a very life-changing experience for me. Yes, in Burning Man, a city created in 10 days from nothing, with a beautiful hospital and an airfield, all organized. You can find anything you choose to want to look for, just like you can find it anywhere, in any city, any place in the world. But I was thankful to be there with my nephews at the Red Lightning Rainbow Camp and the Mystic Camp. And I went to various events. And you know what I found? I truly found that everybody understood we're one human family. They really understood that everywhere I went. And so that part of the prophecy to unify our human family is happening. That was for sure. The other thing I saw was the creativity to create such a magnificent reflection of the most creative kind of things you can imagine. With that kind of creativity that could be done in such a short time, once that is channeled through guiding principles the Creator has given us, there's no power on heaven or earth that's going to stop us from ending war and beginning peace on earth by 2030. No questions whatsoever in my heart and mind. But that's going to take us to truly, truly understand that we must not rest. Once we understand we're one human family, we must not rest until we make everybody we know a brother, sister, mother, father, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, grandfather, grandmother, grandson, granddaughter, friend. And once we do that, we'll know exactly how to treat them. The other thing I think it's so important to understand, I look back at an elder grandmother of mine when I was beginning my spiritual journey back in the early 70s. And so I was going on because I attended these various ceremonies, and so she kind of saw that I had this spiritual ego going. And so she said, "Oh, Takoja," she said, "grandson, I've heard you've been attending all these ceremonies. Oh, tell me about this. What is the most sacred of those ceremonies?" I began recounting. Oh, I went to Hamblichapi, I went to renew a breath of life, and I went to the Sundance, and I went to the Chinook dance, and I went to fast and so forth and so on. She said, "Oh, Takasha, those are all wonderful ceremony." But she says, "You know what the greatest ceremony of all things is?" And so I said, "No," and she got it. "It's the birth of a child." And she looked me right solemn in the eyes. She said, then who are you? Who are you? Each of us is a sovereignty, ancient and perishable and everlasting. And it's time, Itakiapi, for a new story. A new story. A story how across the Americas, over 100 million indigenous people lived here, members of the human family, who'd focused on, by and large, developing a spiritual society. Yes, there was conflicts, but relative to what was happening in other parts of the world in which our human family was suffering so greatly, we were living in great, great abundance. And we prayed the four directions. We knew there was other members of the human family on this Mother Earth, because we knew when we were all together beneath the sacred tree of life, when all the land was one, before it drifted over to the Americas, to Africa, drifted over to Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, the steppes of Russia, Japan. We remember that time beneath that sacred tree when we were given the sacred instructions. And so it was. So that humanity could move into its next stage of our development spiritually, that we entered a 500-year Sundance, because we understood that nothing comes to us except for our own perfecting. And we also had compassion and love for those relatives who came so brokenhearted, so broken, they would take little boats, would sink to come try to find freedom. And yes, there was great conflicts. There was great conflicts. But in the end, we have arisen from this 500-year Sundance stronger and more united than ever before. We have been all be able to understand that science and spirituality must go hand in hand. That spirituality, in the end, always wins over materialism. And so with this new story, we begin to understand in this brief moment in eternity of 500 years, that we are now emerging through all our sacrifices, spiritual representatives of all that have gone before us. Each and every one of us here now are the spiritual representative of all that have been before us, and we have the capacity on behalf of all those gone before us to achieve world peace. First and lesser peace, where we begin with the end of a war, and then taking those trillions upon trillions of dollars and pouring them into uplifting our human family, refining the brain, all these technological gifts which are coming to us, which, by the way, it's not those technological gifts we have to be afraid of. It's not all the new technology to be afraid of. It's whose hands they're held in. If they're held in the hands of people who love, that's what's most important. So I'm hearing my bell go off.
Brother Phil, I do have a favor to ask you,
Yes.
and I didn't ask you in advance. Would you be willing to lead a prayer for us tonight?
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to. I think it's the right time. It's the right time, my brother. And, you know, I'll tell you what. If I could take this computer and put it, my arms around it and pull it inside my soul, I would. But let's pray for a new story for our human family. A story in which every single human being is seen for the sacred beings they are. Oten Kashla Wakantaka, creator of the universe, most beloved one, all powerful one, most kind one, most compassionate one, ever forgiving one. O ancient of days, O blessed beauty, we call upon your holy power at this time, your Holy Spirit, and all our ancestors, past, present, and future, who are closer in our closest vein, to bring us good dreams, bring us a new story about how our human family emerged from its adolescence into this great, great, great spiritual adulthood. So great, it goes far beyond the murmur of syllables and sounds or the world of names. Nikashla Wakantaka, this night we give thanksgiving to all the tribes and nations of the East, from where comes the new life, where that red sunrise comes, to come together in unity and harmony. And we give you thanksgiving for all you've contributed to each and every one of us. Nikashla Wakantaka, we give thanksgiving. We call upon all the tribes and nations of the South, from where comes new life, to come together with a new life, with new relationships, with forgiveness for all. Nikashla Wakantaka, we call upon all the tribes and nations of the West, from where comes thunder, lightning, and rain. We call upon those spiritual powers of thunder, lightning, and rain to awaken our hearts and minds to our true reality. As sovereignties, ancient, imperishable, and everlasting, as souls that transcend this physical world of time and space. We give thanksgiving again for all those contributions. In Kashla Wakantaka, we give thanksgiving to all the tribes and nations of the north, from where comes the white snow. That purifying north wind might purify our heart and mind, so nothing remains but our love and our compassion and connection to that power that transcends all understanding. We give thanksgiving for all the masculine elements of life. We ask, Creator, that you might forgive, especially within our own selves, and we might forgive the overabundance of these masculine qualities that have brought humanity to this place where we have no choice but to wake up. So we thank you for that part, but we also ask that we step back. We step back and allow the feminine qualities to arise within all of us. And we give honor and respect to our Mother Earth and our mothers, and remembering that how we are treating our Mother Earth is no different in a reflection of how we are treating womankind. And this abuse, we pray and know, will end as prophesied. I'd like to conclude with this prayer for unity of our human family. Oh my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal unto them thy great purpose. May they follow in thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor, and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps with the light of knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily, thou art their helper, their Lord. Holy Michante Washte Alo. Shunkmano he meado, Chinupasapa he meado, Holy Michante Washte. We always conclude what we have to say by saying our names. My name is Chinupasapa, a sacred black pipe born of thunder, lightning, and rain. My name is Shunkmano, a leader of warriors who takes the enemy's best forces, and I stand fully responsible, as each and every one of us is, before the Creator, for all my words and my actions. Halimichante Washte, Aho. Thank you so much. May we make this the best peace week ever, the best night ever. Aho.
Aho. Thank you so much, beloved brother Phil. I love you. And we feel your big cyber hug all across. So I'm going to go to gallery view, everybody. Let's all big hug with Chief Brother Phil. Let's all hug together right now. Cyber hug.
Cyber hug.
There it is. That was a good Global Peace Tribe cyber hug. You know, I put it into the chat box, but just to remind everybody that you can learn all about the wonderful work that Chief Phil is doing at his 4 Worlds International Institute The website is the acronym FWII.earth, FWII.earth. And you can learn all about, and please let's donate. Please let's support the work that he's doing. It's just scroll right down. You can donate. I'm going to donate while we're listening to our next sequence, our next musical number. And Brother Phil, thank you again for being truly an unsung hero creating the new paradigm. I love you so much, my brother. And I know that Chief Phil is going to be a big part of Peace Week, so you'll also be able to find him on Peace Week. I am going to bring on one of my favorite co-hosts. Tangela is with us, coming to us all the way from Mount Shasta. Hopefully her Zoom will be strong enough. You're a little fuzzy, but it's great to see you.
Great to see you. I'm actually at the headwaters here. I'm at the headwaters. Yeah, so definitely right here at the head of the Sacramento River, a very holy spot for generations for people, and it continues to be. So happy to be tuning in with you guys from here.
Tangela, that's so cool that you're there.
I know.
You know, for people who have been to Mount Shasta, it's truly one of the great sacred spots in North America. And the headwaters, people come from everywhere to get that water because it's like the purest, freshest water on the West Coast. And so it's wonderful that you're coming from that place, Tangela. Thank you.
No, thank you. I thought it would be a special place for us to tune in together from and just be able to share in that energy of the headwaters. And like you said, Mount Shasta is such a pristine and powerful, energetic and spiritual place for everyone. And to be here, you know, at the headwaters where we're really able to partake in this pristine energy from the mountain and share in, you know, what's been shared for generations. It's really beautiful. So yeah, happy to.
Oh, look at how beautiful that is. And any of you, if you've been to the headwaters or to Mount Shasta, just put a heart or a thumbs up into your reaction, and I'll go to gallery review. Now, Tangela, for those of you who don't know, but most of you know by now because she's a big part of the Global Peace Tribe. She's the creator of Soul Search, which is how we stay connected with each other. It's how we are keeping track of all the different events going on, how we find our favorite healers and psychics and ways to connect. It's an ever-growing way for us to build our community. And so Tangela and I are collaborating on many wonderful events, and we're here to just share with you about 3 of them. And the first one is, I'm going to go in chronological order. On October 1st, for any of you that are in the San Francisco Bay Area, there is a Soul Search Psychic and Healing Fair happening Saturday, October 1st. So that's a couple of weeks, 3 weeks from today. It's going to be in San Rafael, right near the San Rafael County Fairgrounds at the Embassy Suites Hotel. And I'll be there. There's going to be a Global Peace Tribe section. Deborah Giusti will be there. Sophia, the wonderful songstress, will be there playing some music, and we're arranging some other surprises. Who knows, maybe we even get Omashar to come on out to the Bay Area. You just never know. Anything you want to add to what's going to happen on that Saturday, Tangela?
Sure, it's gonna be such a fun event, and you know, Scott and I are just so excited because, you know, Scott, you've built such a beautiful online community with Global Peace Tribe, and now it's so fun that we're, you know, having some of these in-person experiences where people can get together and really meet and hang out and share. And so I just invite everyone who's in the Bay Area, whether you're in Marin, Northern Marin, San Francisco, South Bay, Sacramento, to just come on over and join us. It's going to be a really fun day. We have a lot of different energetic healers, body workers, psychics that are going to be there. Global Peace Tribe will have their whole salon area with some music, and you're going to get to meet Scott and Jasmine Bear in person. And Scott will also be doing a workshop, right, on conscious communication, and we'll have some other amazing workshops as well, which you guys can tune into. Lisa Barnett on Akashic Records, Renee and Anthony, Blue Soul Earth, doing some channeling. So we have a lot of different incredible workshops that'll be happening that you guys can tune into, have some healings, and just really share in this high vibe experience together.
Great. So that's in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Now, the next event, I'm going to show a little video as a teaser for the next event that we want you to know about. And this will be an online event.
What are your gifts? What do you desire for yourself? What do you envision for the entire planet? Immerse yourself into the Ascension of the Soul online 2-day conference. Explore your soul's purpose and experience deep connection to all that you are. A collaboration of luminaries here to support you in understanding and remembering your true potential. Brought to you by Soul Search and Portal to Ascension. Now is the time to awaken to our soul's gifts and abilities. Join us October 15th and 16th, 2022.
I'm going to pause it there for a moment because people, you can very easily just take your cell phones and go to the camera function, and I think most of you know about Q codes. It's a great new device, and you just go all the way in there. You're going to see a little thing, open it up, and you can open it up, and that's how you can register for these 2 days. It's October 15th and 16th. 25 luminaries, almost all of them have been featured on The Awakening World. So you've gotten to know people like Raquel Spring and Melissa and Nicole Keating and Krista, who was my co-host last weekend, Deborah Giusti, myself. It's going to be an incredible group of people. So definitely join us online October 15th and 16th. And I'm going to one more time go to the poster so you can see all the different people that are going to be part of it. And Tangela, while people are looking at all the names and all the beautiful souls participating, what would you like people to know about October 15th and 16th?
Well, yes, thanks so much, Scott. I mean, this is going to be a really incredible 2-day online summit. 25 speakers, including Scott, including Deborah, talking about the ascension of the soul. And Chief Bill so beautifully put it just before, the soul is a part of who we are that transcends all space and time. And here we are in this really incredible moment together where we are in this process of ascension, where we're expanding into a much more, a truer nature of who we are beyond just like this body and this identity that we've come to know. And what's so exciting is that we have 25 speakers that are going to be giving a different perspective, their own unique perspective of the ascension of what that means for your soul. Scott will be speaking about honoring and managing our animal bodies during ascension, which is an incredible topic, talking about our bodies in the here and now. So that's an incredible topic that he'll be speaking about. And we have, Melissa talking about Akashic Records, the ascension of the soul in Akashic Records, Raquel from the astrological perspective, Krista, DNA and epigenetics. So we're going to be having incredible perspectives on our soul and what we're going through and what it means for us during this ascension time. And it's going to be 2 days of downloads, incredibly activating for all of us. And if there's particular activations and experiences that you feel are really powerful, you'll have the replay available. So you can go back and revisit those times as well. So just invite everyone to come join us. It's going to be, I think, a really incredible experience to dive into ascension in this way.
Great. All right. And then the third and final thing we're going to talk about today, of course, is what we're super excited about. The very first Global Peace Tribe Retreat. And it's taking place in the most magical place imaginable. We're doing it in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. We're building it around an already existing super conscious music festival that Tangela and her partners are putting together. There's going to be a psychic fair that weekend. We're going to have opportunities to go into nature. Omashar will be there playing music. Other musical artists are going to be joining us. We even are talking to Danyan Brinkley, and it looks like Danyan might come on out and join us. Deborah Giusti will be there. A lot of your favorite speakers from the Global Peace Tribe, and hopefully all of you. It's going to be an amazing time. October 21st to the 24th. We're even looking at maybe extending some activities before and after, but definitely register now because we're putting together our lodging. We're looking at getting some beautiful, big, beautiful house so we can all share together, at least those people who want to, camp out in a big house with other global peace drivers. Connie and Andrew are coming. They'll be staying in their van or their RV. And there's options. We are arranging shuttles for those of you that are going to fly into Phoenix. But we need to know who's coming right away. So, and also register now so you get the early bird. The early bird price is going to end pretty soon. So definitely register right away. A lot of you already have registered. Those of you who have registered, we're super excited about seeing you in person. And it's going to be pretty amazing. And one more time, Tangela, what would you like to add about that?
No, it's beautiful. I mean, as we all know, Sedona is another power vortex spot. Really the spiritual energy in Sedona is next level, different from here in Shasta, but also incredibly powerful. And everyone coming there together, it's going to be such an activating experience for all of us, with all these different workshops from our favorite Soul Search and Global Peace Tribe luminaries. We're going to have incredible opportunities for music, hanging out together, going to visit the Vortex sites, as well as a psychic fair, which is great. You're going to be able to, again, attend another high frequency event, being able to meet with all types of healers and practitioners. And of course, a super conscious music festival, which we're putting together with Portal to Ascension. And we have incredible conscious musicians that'll be performing all day. And so it's just going to be such an exciting weekend, Scott. And to be doing that in Sedona, it's just going to be really, really a tremendous experience. So I'm so excited about it. I'm excited to meet so many of you that are coming out there to join us.
Great. Thank you, Tangela, for joining us. Stick around because speaking of super conscious music, guess what? We've got Chamishka with us. And we're going to go back to Chamishka. They're going to play some great music. And while they're playing music, it's a good time to listen to the music, move and groove. And if you haven't registered for what we just talked about, the links are in the chat box. So it's a good time to register. And we will, by the way, somebody just asked, we will be, of course, for those of you who don't make it to Sedona, that weekend, the Awakening World will be coming from Sedona, and we'll do our best to include everybody as we can. Beautiful Chamishka, it's all yours.
Thank you,
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Scott and Tangela. Those events sound amazing. I know I'm not alone. We're not alone in wanting to learn more and attend as much as we can. Thank you so much. Also, a special thank you to Chief Phil. That was beautiful, inspiring words. And it's always a treat to be on this show, and especially because we really get to lift each other up. And every time we hear someone speak and share, it just helps us bring it higher. This next piece we would like to dedicate to the future sung and unsung heroes.
I've been waiting, tasting and frolicking, wanting, craving all my imaginings to come to the surface, to be in full service. I am planting my searches to see what emerges. Do you ever wonder what it's all for? This scratching, tapping heart pounding at your door. This is the sound of your heart calling, seed, a changeling of awakening, and I carry my dreams to you. And there is a way, a simple way of things. I follow the signs to bloom. I'm targeting my thoughts, I'm patterning my footsteps to the outline of my heart, to the shape of a trusting mindset. I'm following life's design, Spirit's blueprint, so to speak. All these messages of love. Look at all these messages of love. We are all messages of love. Love, 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 love.
Oh, that was so much fun. You guys are just, I love you two so much.
We love
really,
you back.
really fun. Wow. Hey, everybody, a reminder that you can find all things Shamishka at their website, which is their name, Shamishka, JAMEESHKA.com. And not only are they amazing musical artists, but they also are incredible visual artists. So we're going to see the art of Ishka, Ishkala, when we come back to them for one third song a little bit later on in the show. So God bless you both. Thank you so much. And you know, a reminder, you see how it says send love contributions via PayPal? Support our artists. And so they've got it right there. It's easy to PayPal them. And I know they appreciate anything, $1, $5, $500, whatever you feel inspired, they appreciate it. Or you can Venmo. They have Venmo right there too. So I'm going to remove me off the spotlight for a moment so you can just see it so clearly there. They make it very easy for us to contribute. And I certainly am going to. I always contribute to them. So much love. We will see you all in a little while.
Thank you.
Tonight's one of those shows we're going to go a little bit long. The show's probably going to go till 9 o'clock tonight, Pacific time. So because we're just about halfway, a little more than halfway through the show. We still have more unsung heroes. And the next one is beautiful, beloved brother John Martin. And again, those of you that are regulars, you've seen John on the show before. But for any of you who don't know, John is a beautiful musical artist, and he has a whole incredible life. But the life I want to acknowledge is his relationship to our galactic family. Now, we heard from Paul Mills about how scientists are awakening and are having these cosmic experiences. Well, likewise, I believe that John is on the absolute forefront of relating to our star family. You know, it's interesting, you take a look at kind of the history of humankind's perception about UFOs and aliens from other planets. And all during the 50s and 60s and 70s, monsters from outer space that wanted to eat us. That was like most of the movies that we saw. And then God bless Steven Spielberg. I think he turned things around with 2 movies, E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which gave us a different vision, a different imagining of ETs as beautiful and as safe and as loving and as curious. There was so much curiosity in both of those movies. And now we're at the next stage where people like John are actively connecting with our galactic family. John goes out into his backyard and he sings to them and they come to him. And you're going to see some video in a little while, in a few minutes. And he shoots so much video, it's incredible, of how often they come because he sings to them. And as you watch the video, listen to his voice. Listen to the tranquility of his voice. Listen to the love that he's sending out. Completely unconditional, without any expectation. I also want to say that this whole idea of unsung heroes came when I learned that these beautiful videos that John films and that he posts and that inspires so many of us, some very less conscious human beings that are not in the same state of mind that we are blessed to be in, took some of his videos and made fun of them publicly. When I heard that, it broke my heart. And just thinking about, I have a combination of anger and underneath that, just deep sadness. And that's when I thought, oh my God, this man is such an unsung hero for what he's doing. And for him to be publicly embarrassed and to have that happening. And that's right up there with throwing stones at a spiritual teacher, throwing stones at somebody who's leading the way. And that's when I had the idea of unsung heroes creating the new paradigm. So John, you are the inspiration for this series that now is bringing us people like Paul Mills and Brother Phil, and last night, Reverend Rich Feltus and Sharif Abdullah, and tomorrow, Sri and Kira down in Ecuador. So thank you for being an inspiration. Thank you for all that you share. And I'd love for you to share with our audience a little bit about your experience, who you are, and anything you'd like to share with us.
Scott, it's just such an honor to be here with you. The universe loves you. They've told me that directly, and I want you to know that today. And I was so moved by Dr. Mills when he said the main thrust of his work is love from the universe. And that is what they've told me many times. And Dr. Mills, they give me beautiful showings of love. I can feel their loving energy every time I go outside. I play my music in my mind and I project that into the universe, and I speak with them when I go outside. They are my friends, they are my family. And it's just been a huge revelation to me. Beautiful craft will come in and we interact, and I can feel their loving energy. And I honor your work for taking on, this is a difficult issue for anyone to tackle. And I honor you for that. And it's been difficult for me, but it's an honor and it's a pleasure to be able to share my work with the world. And I have a book that I've been writing, and it's my own history, and it's kind of a practical guide for others to contact the intelligences. And the name they gave me was The Universe Loves You. And I thought of different names, The Loving Universe, and they said, no, it's The Universe Loves You, because that is the main feeling that they share with me. And it's important, and it will change the world, and we will become a more loving society if we all can embrace this new reality that we're creating ourselves. And Scott, that's what I've been trying to do now for the last 10 years.
John, do you want to show an example?
Sure.
John also is going to play some music for us, by the way, because he's a beautiful guitar player. He's even performed for Jimmy Carter, as well as our Galactic friends. But as you watch this video that he's going to play, just notice how beautiful his voice and his connection is. And may we all speak to each other with that level of love and compassion and gratitude, as well as to the angels, to the galactics, to those beings in and out of body. John, that's what you embody so beautifully.
Thank you, Scott. I actually had dinner with President Carter in Toledo, Spain, and we spoke of UFOs. And that was the impetus for me to try this experiment. If a hero of mine that I have so much respect for is, I told him my experience, he shared his with me, he was not judgmental, and that was the impetus with that, and also Close Encounters, where music was used as a communication tool. And so I put those pieces together, and that's when I started my journey. So I'll play just a little bit now. We'll do the rest later. Hey, gorgeous friends. Airplane going by. That's kind of cool. Thank you, everyone. So awesome. And there's different ones that they fly together. There's the fast one that is often around.
It's wonderful.
More golden energy.
Really moving. Thank you, gorgeous ones.
And I consider these actually a sequence 6, where there's a dynamic between the intelligences and myself who create these experiences together.
Right through the center of both of those. Now that was
the two
things ever. Absolutely beautiful. Wow.
Well, anyway, I'll go ahead and stop here.
Thank you, my friends. How absolutely beautiful.
And you can feel the love energy.
Beautiful.
It's a high dimensional love.
That is so amazing. And one of the things, just because we're working on time, is John's come back on, and at the end of the show, we're going to show the entire video. And John, next time when you show it, click full screen. So we're seeing just the video as opposed to your desktop. We spoke on most of it. And I should have asked that of you in our.
Oh, could you actually hear? Was there audio on it, Scott? Because I couldn't hear it.
We could hear the music playing.
Okay.
And then we could you coming in live right now with your extra comments.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. And just to close this beautiful section, would you be willing to play a little music for us?
I would love to. I've played classical music, a lot of really complex music, but I also write music, and these are the pieces that I really connect with my star family, our star family. And this is a Jasmine Rain, and I'll dedicate it to Jasmine Bear. But I actually wrote this. I wrote this for my son when he was born.
Oh, John, that's such beautiful music.
Thank you.
That's all Twinkle John. I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment. That's all Twinkle, this beautiful, beautiful brother. Even Jasmine Bear is twinkling away,
Right.
giving kisses to me after you.
That makes me very happy.
Just beautiful, John. Just beautiful.
Such an honor to be here, Scott, and thank you for everything that you do, my friend. You're such an inspiration to me and to so many. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, each and every one of the people that I get to see on this show are inspirations for me as well. So, and John will be back towards the end of the show. So thank you again, John. Thank you so much. Wow. All right. Well, I'm going to put Jasmine Bear down so that I can facilitate a little bit more easily here. Thank you, sweet girl. All right. Well, we have had three very different unsung heroes. And now we're about to go into a very unique unsung hero. And that is the goddess Sophia. And with us are Diana and Dan. And I'm actually going to briefly put on camera, and she wasn't counting on this, but I'm going to bring up Christy Michaels, because I want to acknowledge that Christy is who came up with this idea. She sent me a note a few weeks ago saying, Scott, do you know that the descent of Sophia is happening the weekend of September 9th through the 11th? And I mean, I'd heard a little bit about Sophia, but honestly, didn't know much.
Nobody does.
Yeah, she's an unsung hero.
Yeah, people don't know her story, and it's very exciting what Dan is doing. I'm so proud of Dan. I've been watching him over the last 10 years or more just do this awesome deep dive, but it came from his own personal interaction with Sophia when he was 18, and you'll have to tell that story, Dan. And then, of course, my dear friend Diana has been on the journey of awakening and bringing forth the Sophia as well. And it's very exciting because it truly represents, I mean, Sophia means the wisdom of God. And do we not need the wisdom of God? We don't need the fanaticism of God. We need the wisdom. So it's like, thank you so much, Scott, for being in your wisdom to recognize that this could be important. So
Absolutely.
let's
Well,
take
you know,
it away. Thank you.
it made sense. You know, it's like, okay, we're doing Unsung Heroes this weekend. And she is truly, you know, there are unsung heroes from our archetype. God knows we've got enough heroes that are white men, right? And even enough gods. But of course, Christy, done such a great job of bringing forth Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
And so, you know, since you're right here and this is spontaneous, I'd love for you to actually introduce Diana and introduce Jan, at least in whatever way you feel so inspired.
Oh, well, the only way that I can do it is from the pure state of love in my being. You know, it is, and that's why this global peace drive is so awesome, because I saw somebody post the other day about, you know, there's often posts about hate in Facebook, and this person was posting, I love you. Well, these are two people that I love, and I love who they are. I love what they stand for. Dan has taken some of the most daunting scholarly work, the Pista Sophia, that God bless anyone who wants to tackle that and read it, but not only read it, but really understand it at the deepest level. What are they saying here? What are they trying to tell us? Because in the ancient world, when they put things out, they put it out with so much depth and multi-layers of, and then it was written in another language and it has to be translated, and there's all that complication. So my hat's off to you, Dan, for your deep commitment and your dedication to the divine feminine, and being a sacred masculine that truly understands the equality. And of course, Diana Kelly is probably a rising star in this world. You may not have heard about her, but she is an unsung hero because she is working not exactly behind the scenes, but she is working, impacting people who have been marginalized and struggling with addiction and whatnot, and just meeting them where they are as equals and giving them that experience that they are divine and helping them to awaken in her work in recovery. But also she's a master demonstration of love from her own qualities, her own psychic abilities. She's just, I mean, she has done amazing dedication to the Divine Mother. And working with, and I love all your Sophia stories and your Mother Mary stories. And so I don't want to take any more time. I turn it over to them.
Thank you, Christy, again for the introductions, both to me and now to our audience. And thank you for all the work you do. And I'm imagining this is gonna be a longer segment, but about halfway through, just to kind of perk it up, is when we're gonna have Jamishka play their third and final song. So we will always have time to kind of integrate, because on Saturday nights, we like to go from talking to music. So in about 20 minutes, we'll take a little break, go back to Jamishka. And so just wanted to kind of pop that into your thoughts. You can kind of pick if you think there's a particular moment. But please, let's just start by sharing with us, who is Sophia? What's the history, and tell us who she is.
It's wonderful to be here, and thank you, Christy, for a wonderful introduction, but also Christy for holding space within the community that is really allowing for Sophia, this strange, unknown figure, to start to get some traction and some airtime. And so actually, speaking of airtime, this is a first presentation for me since coming out with the book. So it's right here, The Divine Spark Within, Excavating the Mysteries of Sophia and the Deep Christ. And it's absolutely a deep dive into who is Sophia. And I want to just acknowledge, is it Dr. Mills, who spoke earlier, just incredible work that he's bringing in around the marriage of science and religion. And I think what I'm have been sort of called to do is to thank you, Dr. Mills, for your work and helping to ground spirituality in a context of a tradition that has a bit of checks and balances. It's so that mysticism just can't, doesn't sort of fly off into never land. There's this relationship between the two. And so that's a bit of what I've been trying to work with. Is there is a esoteric tradition of where Sophia is a very prominent character. And so, we hear a little bit about wisdom in the Old Testament, and she's referred to kind of cryptically, the Proverbs, wisdom was with the Lord when he began his work, long before he made anything else. This is where wisdom, the Greek word for wisdom is Sophia. And so Sophia, wisdom, begins to take on an attribute, and she's a feminine being. But in the first century, we begin to start to get wind of a whole new download of information around this figure, Sophia. And in the Gnostic tradition, which began to really sort of take shape at the end of first century and the beginning of second century, there was these texts and different sort of sects, and where this creation story, this story of creation, in a sense that has been talked about in different ways already on this show, but it's a phenomenal story of the original source of all that is prior to the Big Bang, really. And it goes into details about what's going on with this called ineffable source, which in the Kabbalah would be referred to as Ein Sof. It's the unknowable. And Christ, in his presentation, this is what's so wild. The Gnostic texts have this figure, Christ, delivering elaborate descriptions of these levels of original creation. And in the secret book of John, which is probably the most prominent of the Gnostic texts, there are the whole first section is paragraph after paragraph of this figure Jesus talking about this ineffable unknown source. It's just tremendous. And so then there's this unfolding of a cosmology of the original Trinity. There's this divine, I sort of refer to it as the great emanation. It's this bursting of, out of the womb, new creation. And it has a kind of a threefold original nature, but then it unfolds in these pairs called aeons. And the last of these beings is called Sophia, or the sort of a lower Sophia, in relationship to this higher Sophia, who's the feminine aspect of the original divine emanation. It's a little complicated to follow here, I'm sorry. But it's really exciting. So 2 days ago, September 8th, was the marking of a holiday, or of a phenomenon called the Descent of Sophia. And this is where it's a bit controversial. In these texts, this brief, fleeting Gnostic tradition that flourished for like 200 or 300 years before it really got buried by the Orthodox Christian Church and the Roman system. And literally it was persecuted and books were burned and the whole thing was pushed underground. There's this fleeting flourishing of high cosmology that's associated with Christ, of which Sophia is a lead character. And she comes down to this dimensional reality, or John Lamlash, would refer to, this solar system in the Orion Spur. And there's a whole story about her in the fall of Sophia. But what I've done in my research that has, taken many years, is that I'm looking at to sort of reverse engineer how this story was packaged over time from later Orthodox, where she's sort of in there. She's in the New Testament a little bit, but in the Gnostic tradition, she's huge. And in first century, it appears that this Christ figure is pivotal in delivering this cosmology. And this is what's very, very wild. And it's fairly new. It's in terms of understanding the context of Sophia and this first century revelation of wisdom. So Sophia falls, she comes down, and actually what the texts, the earliest indications is that Sophia came to seed this location with bodily dwellings. That's specifically, they're saying bodily dwellings made from, the matter of this world, into which children of light can become embodied. It was a plan for seeding incredibly high beings into this kind of lower world that's sort of way out in the Wild West of the cosmos. They call it the region of the left. And but what happened is that Sophia became trapped by something called archons, these lower gods who just were jealous of her, and they had some power, and they stole this seed of divine light that she was bringing here. And so I think this is partly why this tradition and this story of Sophia has been so suppressed. It's virtually eliminated from the historical record. And fortunately, a Nag Hammadi library was pulled up out of the desert in 1945, increasing the record of these buried texts by many fold. And so the problem of the archons, what the heck are the archons? Who are these higher, these dimensional angels that were otherworldly, that came and they stole her light. And so there's this whole thing going on with that. So I don't want to go on with this. It's fairly involved. The book that I've written, the book that I've written, I think is really a resource guide to this esoteric, to this wisdom flourishing that occurred in really first century. And so it's very, pretty heavily researched and, kind of cross-referenced. And it's not necessarily easy reading. I mean, it flows pretty well, but it's fairly dense. And so speaking to it and working with it is really what I'm excited to do. And I'm excited to be joined with by Diana Kelly, who, she is her ability to work with the phenomenon of the higher frequency of this feminine energy is something she was sort of born into, and she kind of stumbled on, and her story is, she's very humble in she's not just throwing it all out there. She holds it very close to her heart. She's been incubating the wisdom that she's been getting from truly, Sophia. I mean, she's linking it with Mary and Sophia. And so I really want to, this is an interesting interplay here. Christy kind of set us up to, kind of show up here with like, okay, you two. And I'm bringing a bit of an academic background. There's way more could be said. The divine spark. I mean, it's the absolute beautiful quintessential mystery. What is the inner divine radiance within us that was planted from the onset? The whole Adam and Eve story all figures into this. It's how do we connect with the divine essence that is made of the stuff of the ineffable. It comes from the highest source, according to this teaching. So I want to, interest of time, just have Diana be able to share a little bit before we go to the break. And so thank you. We're so pleased to be here, Scott. Thank you so much.
It's beautiful having you here and really enjoying it. So thank you. By the way, your internet just got a little bit funny. We've been hearing you perfectly up until a minute ago, and your internet right now has gone from in the white zone to the zone. I don't know if there's anybody else in your home or where you are, maybe that's using the computer, but if there is, if you could.
Let me, I'll turn my, I need to plug it in. I think that'll help. So continue.
Okay, great.
I hear it fine, Scott, by the way.
Okay, good. And while we're waiting, let me go to see his book. There it is on Amazon, The Divine Spark Within, Excavating the Mysteries of Sophia and the Deep Christ. It just came out on August 29th, so 2 weeks ago. And I've put the link into the chat box. For those of you watching on Facebook, just go to Amazon and put in his name, Daniel Morse, The Divine Spark Within, and you can find it very easily. Let's all buy this book. It's so important for us to support books like this. So I'm adding it to my cart, and I'm going to while you continue talking.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thank you.
Proceed to
That's really sweet of you, Scott. Oh my gosh. And then you can see the link to the website, which has a lot more information about it. And there's different articles and things like that. So is the internet okay, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go to the website after a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
We'll go to the website for sure.
And now.
Now, Diana.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Christy. So for me, my experience, so first I want to say that I feel that Sophia is the next one up on the stage to take her place, like we've seen with a revolution of Mary Magdalene. My experience with the divine feminine, with the divine mother aspect, literally has been really since birth, mostly through the prism of Mother Mary and her mother Anna. My first experience with Sophia was in 2007 in Mount Shasta. And she appeared wearing a very long mala, kind of just, I'll say, lapping the beads. But it was a very, very long mala that I had never seen before. And fast forward later, it kind of made sense to me, but that was 2007. It didn't make sense to me until about 2018, so like 11 years later. In between that time, I was visited her next time, not until 2014. And she said, I didn't know who she was. And I kept trying to figure out, are you the Black Madonna? Who are you? It wasn't any of the energies that I was familiar with. And I was familiar with quite a few aspects of the divine feminine, both in bodies and out of bodies. But she said to me, I'm preparing you to be a voice for me in the world. And because people are really going to need the mother, even more so than you can see now in 2014. So she said, I want you to consider yourself my PhD student, and I'm going to bring you to all the highest teachings, and I want you to resist none. So I started to experience different teachings. Started out with Orthodox, like Russian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, because they at least do talk about Sophia. And then it went on from there. I was guided to Sri Aurobindo's ashram. And there I had a really profound experience where one night there was an incredible, and this makes me think of you, Brother Phil, because it was huge thunder and lightning and rain. And I heard, she is here. And I was brought to the teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. And I was told that I was embodying a lot of the Divine Mother at that point. And that I would be being brought a gift that I could share with humanity. Shortly after that, I was preparing for one of Christy's ceremonies, the bridal chamber. And as about a week before, I had no idea what I was going to be doing in the bridal chamber. And I received the gift of something called the Holy Ampulla of Sophia, which, in which case a dove came and put the substance in my left hand. And I was told that it was going to be to activate humanity, activate the light body, an ascension ritual, which was based on an ancient coronation ritual that was used at a time when kings and queens were considered divine beings, not just political leaders. But it was first given, Mother Mary first gave it to the Apostle Thomas. So that was my second, really big teaching. The next was, I was brought to the Holy Womb Chakra teachings in 2018. And there, I really feel that it was a teaching of how to purify our womb chakras, and men have womb chakras too. And then connect those womb chakras back to the Sophia, back to the creatrix, the universal, her womb, where we all come from, where all souls come from. And that would be like an antidote to the interference that has happened to humanity and continues to happen. Because, and we see this playing out on the world stage right now in a really big way, whoever controls the womb controls the creation. And so that was going on then in that way, and now we have what we have now. And this work, this body of work, the Holy Womb Chakra teachings, give us a way through using mantra and yantra together, which is very powerful and is as like putting gas to a flame, to help us to connect back to the cosmic womb. And there we can access our true nature in a more profound way. And the other interesting, really fascinating piece is that if couples that are trying to conceive a child actually use these chants, they can bring in avatars, because it has the ability, it's like I'll say, a formula to counteract what you might call in some traditions karma, or interference, whatever your beliefs are, but it helps that child come in a more perfected state, so they do not have to go through as much Maya on this planet. My work now is with couples that are very serious about that and want to bring in these babies at this time. So that is my experience with Sophia personally. And I find with working with Dan, he's given me a lot of context through his work of my own personal experiences with her. So,
wow.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating. And I want to, of course, acknowledge both of you. And we're going to have a little bit more. I am going to go to Jamishka in a moment. But a couple of things. I do want to thank Hallelujah Anasuya has put some wonderful references into the chat box, so they're really interesting. And I do want to go to each of your websites. This is the Sophia Project, which is Dan's main website. I've put it into the chat box. I'll put it in again. But this is where we can get more history. Of course, there's the book that we've been talking about. And I love the way you describe it, excavating the mysteries of Sophia and the deep Christ. And when I come back after Jamishka, I'd love for you to tell us what the deep Christ means, because to me, as I read it, that's very interesting. So, and then for Diana, taking a look at her website, and it's a beautiful website. It's lightofthemother.com, lightofthemother.com. And again, what you're just beginning to touch on about the idea of Sophia as the divine spark and tapping back into that divine spark. So I want to hear a little bit more when we come back about the work that you're doing. It's interesting because on last night's show, our primary unsung hero was Reverend Bridge Feltus. And she talked about how the original Gregorian chants were sacred sounds that elevated our consciousness. And then once again, the institutional church came in and changed the entire sound and the entire, so that we wouldn't have access to these higher vibrations, these higher frequencies.
Right.
So, it's like all of this is finally coming back, So anyway, with no further ado, we're going to go to Jamishka. We will come back to both of you. And if people have comments or questions please put it in the chat box now so that we can answer some questions. And
Good.
I'm going to go to Jamishka, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Hello, beautiful people.
Greetings, Scott. Thank you so much. Once again, being here is so inspiring, and thank you for that presentation, which I know we're only partway through, so we are delighted to be a part of it. And this theme of the unsung hero and so many versions of all the different ways it comes up, and the hero's journey in general, and all of us, and yeah, we really resonate with a lot of these themes. So this next song is about the power of the individual and the power of the ensemble as one becomes the other. It's called Just One.
Better on, better than just one, better than you are. Bad on one, better than become just one. One's enough to overcome, they say. One's enough to overcome the world. Battle on, better cheer us on, better than you are. Bad on one, better than become just one. One's enough to overcome this. One's enough to overcome the world. One's enough to overcome, they say. But what do they know? One's enough to overcome the world. one's enough to overcome this. But what do they know? One's enough to together.
Hey, everybody, turn on your cameras and let's twinkle these beautiful two beings. Wasn't that just delightful? Oh, soft and then peppy and just so much magic and so much beautiful love. It's always such a joy having you two on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh my gosh. And I want to, you know, of course, we have seen that you're beautiful musical artists. We want to support your music. But in this segment, this moment, we're going to talk just a little bit about the art of Ishkala. And she's a beautiful artist. Of course, some of you have seen her before. We had her art on once before. First off, what's the name Ishkala? We've learned about Sophia. Tell us about Ishkala.
Yeah, so my parents originally named me Jessica. That's my super secret agent birth name. And after my
You told them your super secret agent birthday?
awakening, I actually, throughout my whole childhood and my whole life up until my name change, I had been playing with all these different names. And a lot of them were older and it just wasn't really modern. And I would sign all kinds of letters and journal entries with all these different ancient names. And I looked at the etymology of Jessica because I also really believe in the power of names and the wisdom that our parents carry in the destiny, you know, carrying forward the destiny of a name and one's destiny through their name. And what I found was Ishka. And originally there's the Hebrew name Ishka, which means the Lord or God or the universe sees. And but there's many different spellings and origins of the word and the syllables Ishka. So there's the Russian, it's a diminutive in Russian for anything cute and small if you add it to the end of a word. It's also Irish Gaelic for water. And in Arabic, it means spiritual love, which is part of the Ishkala, the mantra Ishkala Mabud Leila, which means God is love, lover, and beloved. And I resonate with that most deeply. And it's the place from which I create all of my art. And it also has the La in the Tibetan spelling of the La, which is the tippy tops of the mountains where inspiration abounds.
I love all that etymology. And by the way, maybe turn her microphone up a little bit because she's a little soft. The website is, I'm going to spell it, ishkalha.com. Of course, I'm putting it in the chat box again, and it's already there, but I'll put it in again. But it's Ishkala, and she does amazing work. There's original paintings, reprints, and treasures. I'm going to go to the paintings for a moment. Original acrylic paintings, and some of them are just gorgeous. Very futuristic, beautiful use of colors. And just really want to encourage people, if you're looking for a really beautiful gift to give to yourself or to someone else, go to her website and get some of her artwork. I don't know which one to click on because it's also amazing. I think I'm going to do that. So we're talking about the goddess Sophia tonight. There's an image that could be the goddess Sophia. That could work. I see Diana.
I don't know if you're sharing your screen or trying to share the screen, but perhaps that.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm
What's
not
that?
sure if you meant to share your screen or not, but
you can't see the image.
we can't see if you're trying to show us something.
I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing your. Right now, people should be seeing the image of She Path Or.
We can see it.
We can all
It's
see
told-
it.
For some
We
reason,
can all
we
see
can't
it.
see it. Okay.
But I will come back.
We trust you.
Yeah, I incorporate a lot of sacred geometry into my work, and there is mention of mantra and yantra. That combination is really special. Light, as it comes into form, it comes through sound into physical matter. and we get to see the design of the universe through the geometry that is very accessible to us, and it's also the way through which a lot of the inspiration and the different avatars come through in my work. And so that's generally the foundation through which the different deities, there's a lot of divine mother energy in my work. It's one of the energies that I most strongly resonate with in this incarnation. And that's something that I'll be guiding people through in a process at the workshop on October 8th. We're going to have our first session at the Apothecary in Ashland, and then we're going to have the whole next afternoon to continue with the piece that we started the day before. And we're going to go through a set of practices that I've developed for people to create an empowering piece of art to help them connect to their own heart's wisdom. And we're going to be incorporating the sacred geometry into the piece to help set that foundation for what wants to emerge. And it's a really beautiful process. It's one with which I've been working with for many years. And it's just a lot of fun to be able to gather with a lot of people very intentionally to create art that is essentially a prayer for their life and for their community in the world, and to be able to work with their art in a very intentional way after it's complete as well, to use it in their daily prayers and practices. And it's very healing for the nervous system. There's so many good things from being able to come together and create in an intentional way.
Absolutely. Well, I know the majority of our people aren't in Oregon, so I do want to go back to your actual art site and just encourage people to go there, scan through. And we're getting some requests wondering if maybe you would do an artwork sometime perhaps of your imagining of Sophia, as we're talking about her. So not putting you on the spot, you don't have to commit to that.
You
but
never
there's
know.
definitely, who knows, maybe it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, well, it's definitely coming into the field of for inspiration. I was feeling that as they were speaking about the goddess and getting some really beautiful visions. So we'll see. But I'm open to collaboration and would love to continue that conversation.
I will connect the two of you. I'll connect the two of you. So, because it would be fun for the two of you to connect with Diana and Dan.
Yeah.
And that happens so much on Global Peace Tribe. We don't have our first Global Peace Tribe baby yet, but we have a lot of people who've met each other and become couples in Global Peace Tribe. So
there's practicing.
A lot of professional collaborations that have evolved from people meeting each other through us. So I'm going to go back to Dan and Diana, but God bless. I love you guys so much. And hopefully you'll be back on the show again in the next month or two.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. God's blessings. And everybody, again, go take a look at, of course, the Jamishka website, get the music, and take a look at the beautiful artwork that she does. It's in the chat box. And again, for anybody watching on Facebook, it's ishkala.com, spelled ISHKALHA.com. And I'm going to turn it back over to Diana and Dan. I see there's quite a few comments and questions that came into the chat box. But let's just start, Dan, with the question I had asked you just before we broke about what you mean when you refer to the Christ in that way.
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind, I just first want to mention that the sort of the entryway I found into the mysteries of Sophia was through the effort that I was making when I was in my late adolescence to stay connected to the spark of uninhibited curiosity and joy that I experienced as a child. And the commitment I made to stay connected to that inner child spark, I called the Sophia Project. And it was kind of a random contract I made using the word Sophia as a emblematic, as part of that commitment. And so Sophia became this, person that was connected to the inner outflowing of my creative self. And I want to just acknowledge everybody in this show, for all of the creative outpourings that are happening. And one of the things that I work with is looping and music. And so I'm totally like right on, Jamishka. What you're doing with that is just awesome. And and it's such a wonderful forum for weaving sound and sacred sound expressions. Yes, okay. So deep Christ, what? Okay, so the Jesus who shows up in the Gnostic texts is kind of different from how he shows up in the Bible. And this is just a kind of a strange thing. Collectively, we're only familiar with the Gnostic tradition for the last 40 years since the publication of many of these texts, including the Pistis Sophia, which, by the way, the Hertax, I think you might have had them on. They did a whole thick volume on the Pistis Sophia, which is one of the core texts I use for a rendition of the creation story of Sophia. So how can this Jesus of the Gnostic system, who talks about coming from the divine, this earliest outpouring of creation, he's this, and that he came down through the gates of the archons into this region of the left in order to rescue Sophia. This is an extraordinary sacred literature that was completely lost, practically. And then so this Jesus, who is consort to Sophia on the higher levels, comes to this. He comes into the body of Jesus, and is part of the plan to not only rescue Sophia from the clutch of the archons, but also rescue humanity from the intervention that the archons had in sort of overlaying the divine spark essence that was planted in us. And this is a kind of a complicated story, but so the book goes into how do we make sense of this Jesus who's so different from the man of the parables? And we each have our own relationship to Jesus and to Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, and this is absolutely foundational. What each of our own relationship to whatever deity or savior figure or whatever is absolutely the bottom line. And there's much to be gained from the Bible's version of Jesus, but when we broaden it to include how he shows up in the Gnostic tradition, there's so much more going on. And so I've sort of referred to him as the deep Christ, because it's kind of like, how did this show up like this? And it gets into some pretty intense deep dive into first century and who this Jesus figure was, but that's just sort of an introduction, I think. And there's this beautiful Jung quote. Carl Jung is a central inspiration for me. He had a very profound relationship to Sophia. And he just basically is saying Christ is not the great exception. It's not that Christ was, so powerful and wonderful. It's that he was the great example. So we are being given the task to become like Christ. And this creation story is kind of a new story. It's old, it's really old, but it's kind of coming back, and it really has a lot to offer with regards to how we can move to new levels of spiritual development, conscious development, as Dr. Mills was talking about. Yes, that's what we're up against and what we're after. And it's very exciting, and we have very exciting times. And Global Peace Tribe is offering a wonderful service to help facilitate all of this. So.
Yep.
I want to riff on that for a minute, just because it's
right.
my favorite topics. Since I bought your book during Zamiska, so
That's nice.
actually going to promote another book. I want to encourage people, if you really are curious about the Gnostic version of Jesus, get the Gospel of Thomas. And there are many, many, many versions. There are many different people who have taken it. But what's fascinating about the Gospel of Thomas, and that was one of the lost books that the people who put the Bible together in 321 AD didn't include. And the Gospel of Thomas is not the story of Jesus. It's just direct quotes. It's direct quotes from Jesus. And as Dan said, it paints a very different picture of who the church kind of manufactured for us and over the centuries have tried to deliver. And so if you're interested in the historical personality of Jesus, I think you get the best insight as to who he may have been by reading the Gospel of Thomas. And I also, the last thing I just wanted to say is it is important for us to differentiate between whomever the historical figure of Jesus may or may not have been, and the Christ consciousness that, as you said, he represented. He was the example. And it's important to remember, his name was not Jesus Christ. His name was Jesus of Nazareth, or if you prefer, Yeshua. He attained the Christ consciousness, which is available to us all. And so again, we are now living in a time where instead of putting him up and praying there and seeing this big separation, no, it's about bringing it into our bodies, bringing the Christ consciousness into our bodies, and attaining what he represented for us. So I have strong beliefs, as you can tell about that, but I just had to add that in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Diana, you're going to get the last word on this topic. What would you like to share with our audience tonight?
Well, in following what you're saying, that we are being called now to stop putting Jesus, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene on a pedestal. We're embodying that energy ourselves, and so it's important to bring it into this physical body and out into a real life. It's like Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, we're embodying Sophia, but so were a lot of other people, and we all have that opportunity now. And so it is about doing the work, and it is about, having some high experiences. So you take the ascension and descension or inscension, where you bring it in, right? So that's why the story of Sophia, the descent of Sophia, is as important as the exalted Sophia.
Beautiful. Well, I want to go one last time to each of your websites. And for Dan, it's thesophiaproject.net, thesophiaproject.net. And you can click on the book that way, or you can go to the link that I put in. It's right down here, purchase book. And let's all purchase the book. Let's support our musicians by supporting Jamishka. Let's support Dan. Can you imagine how many years have you worked on this book, Dan?
Many, many, many. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and incredible. And may it click. May it receive the incredible attention. And there's a lot more on his website. Songs of Sophia, research articles, and as always put your names in. And with anybody you see on Global Peace Tribe, please join their pages so that they can keep us in touch with what they're doing. So thank you, Dan. And of course, now I'm going to go to Diana's website. And her website is, oh, wrong one, there we go. It's the lightofthemother.com, Light of the Mother. And that's a beautiful title. And do tell us about some of the services that you provide, Diana. There was a brief reference, but tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So I do light body activations. In groups, I do the Holy Ampulla of Sophia. I do anointings, all kinds of healing. I really have been doing this work for 30 years. So I have a whole toolkit that I draw on. And it's very individual, very organic for each person, each group. And as Christy mentioned earlier, I work a lot with in recovery centers, and I'm actually, without going into maybe this depth of things, I'm bringing this to people that might not otherwise experience it, and helping them see that divine spark in them that is perfect, that they're not broken.
Maybe I can mention, she mentioned the ampulla.
Yeah.
And which is the crowning ceremony, which features in the creation story with Christ crowning Sophia as part of his rescue. And in the book of Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas, well, actually the Gospel of Philip, they mentioned this bridal chamber. And the bridal chamber is a really amazing theme that Diana has worked with in ritual with Christy. And I think I go into it a fair amount in the culmination of my book, how do we embodied the sacred marriage of the inner divine immanence, the immanence of the spark with this holy, holy, holy source light, all it is.
Beautiful. I'm going to put the spotlight on our friend Jerry Anderson, also known as the Wild Abbot of the Mystic Monastery, because Jerry is one of our dear, dear friends. And as he points out, his entire monastery is built on the Gospel of Thomas. The core text for his mystic monastery, and his monastery, they have 10,000 acres in Puerto Rico. It's their own ecclesiastic nation. So it's an incredible place that's going to also, like all of us, grow and in wonderful ways. And the core text for his mystic monastery is the Gospel of Thomas. And his monks are initiated in a living legacy, which goes all the way back to St. Thomas in India in 54 AD. So Mystic Abbot Jerry, meet Diana and Dan, and Global Peace Tribe.
This is a central image that I work with in my book, and it features on the front cover, and it's the cross of St. Thomas. So cheers to St. Thomas.
Yes. Our monks are initiated and anointed, as Diane said, in a living legacy that goes all the way back to 54 AD. We know the chain of everybody in the succession.
Wow. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Incredible. That is incredible. So, well, thank you, Jerry. It's always great to have a reason to pop you on.
Hey,
Diana.
Scott, can I insert one thing? I do want Diana to talk, because there are a lot of women that are on this show, and as we move forward into the future, I think people really need to understand Diana is a doula as well, and she does sessions with couples on conscious conception, so that you can actually have the opportunity to bring in one of the highest beings as you conceive consciously. And she goes through the work with the couples on how to consciously conceive. So you may want to say a sentence or two about that, Diana, because I think that in this time, we need high old souls coming in. We need these souls that like you say, are more karma free.
Right. No, absolutely. That I feel is a gift of grace from the mother, that we have access to these. These are teachings that were kept. They're on ancient palm leaves in India. They're about 7,000 years old. And up until maybe the last 20 years, maybe less, were only given to saints and sages of India. And Sri Kaleshwar, who came here, and he actually passed at the age of 39 in 2012, but he brought this work out and brought it to the West before he passed. And so there's a whole body of mantras that are specifically for conception, and they're very powerful. For couples that maybe are maybe not that dedicated, we don't want to do that, but want to have an impact. There's always the Gayatri mantra. There's always the rosary. There's things. It's doing something consciously. So I do work and help people, guide people through that process.
Beautiful. We had David Pramal and Miten on the show last weekend singing Gayatri Mantra.
Oh, wonderful.
I love all the ways, and we've got a Mount Shasta connection. We've got a lot of beautiful connections that have been taking place tonight. Thank you, Diana and Dan. I'm sure we'll have you on the show again.
Thank you.
And of course, we'll see you when we always collaborate with Christy Michaels on the things that she's doing. So we're all part of the Global Peace Tribe. So thank you.
And thanks to everybody for being here.
Yes.
It's an amazing show tonight. We are going to have one more song from Omashar, and then we're going to close. Everybody kind of going to relaxing out as we watch some more of the beautiful video from John Martin. I did want to let people know that, remember, we do 3 shows every weekend, and tomorrow is our Sacred Sunday show. And it's going to be really special. Of course, beloved brother Omashar will be with us playing music. And we're going to be going all the way down to Ecuador through the power of Zoom and meeting with Sri and Kira Ra. And they are a beautiful couple. They are going to give us a tour of what they have been creating in their community down in Ecuador, including a 7-story pyramid that is built in a very unique way and a very magical commitment to peace, and is a big part of the launch of Global Peace Week. So don't miss it. Join us tomorrow, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And it's going to be a very special show tomorrow. So please do join us. All right. I am going to turn it over to our beautiful beloved brother, Omashar, there he is, to give us a closing song, and then we'll go to John Martin.
All right. Okay, Eleanor, have you got your feet out of that soaking basket yet? and look, can you see that?
Oh yes.
It's got some magic backdrop in it, but that was my takeaway from the Relaxpansion Fest, where I met with Jamishka. I was lying on the ground with my eyes closed, just kind of grounding, and suddenly these 2 people came either side of me with these hats and these big smiles, and it was these guys. It was like, yeah, wonderful. I don't know how they even recognized me. I was one with the earth at that time. Anyway, this song is called The New Road, and it kind of speaks for itself, but you can bop to it. And I seem to be blurring with my visual screen, so that's probably good. Do you want to see some magic? Oh, it didn't quite work. Anyway, I have to get a proper magic person on for that one. Here we are.
Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart and be with me. Truly let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. Just look at us now. waves of inspiration, filling our lives with boundless joy. We're speaking our truth, basking in the pure light, and freeing the way for all of us. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart and be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Bum, bum, we're here on the new road, where air is so much clearer, creating a world of ecstasy, surrounding us is true love, filling empty spaces. Rejoice in the word, unity. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart and be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart and dance with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. One more time. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart and be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. La 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 ba da, bum 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 ba da, la 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 la. Bum ba da dum ba da, bum 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 ba dum ba.
Wow. Let's all go to gallery review and twinkle, beloved Omashar.
Yeah, I needed some help on the high note with that one. Yeah, whatever. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And again, a reminder, everybody, we can support him by going to Bandcamp, omashar.bandcamp.com, and buy his music. And I've also put his website and all of his information into the Zoom room. And then just a reminder to everybody watching on Facebook, this is why you want to come into the Zoom room, so it's easier to get all these links. And thank you, all of our amazing presenters, all of our unsung heroes. And before we go to John, I just want to acknowledge all of you, really are unsung heroes in some ways. Those of you that are parents, those of you that are caregivers, those of you that are in service to this world, those of you who are just holding the highest vision, those of you that are choosing love in a world where there's so much fear and so much separation, all of you are unsung heroes. So thank you. And I am going to go now to one of our official for the night unsung heroes, John Martin. John, I can think of no better way to close out this beautiful night to just listening to you playing music as we watch those beautiful ships that come to visit you at night.
Thank you, Scott. And I've performed at Maranatha Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia for President Carter many times. And he had a Bible study, and his very favorite disciple is Thomas.
Wow.
He was the first to say, "My Lord and my God," to Jesus. And yeah, so I'm in full agreement as well. So yeah, if you can just visualize sitting with me at my little picnic table, because I have one seat, and there's a small park, and I set my cameras up, and the craft and the energies come in, and they use the small bowl of sky around me as their canvas, and they create all of these beautiful interactions, and I've had thousands of them now. And so I'll go ahead and share this, Scott.
Okay. And remember to go to full screen, please.
Yes. Hey, gorgeous friends. Airplane going by. That's kind of cool. Thank you, lovely ones. So awesome. Wow, look at you go. That's wonderful. We're really moving. Thank you, gorgeous ones. Right through the center of both of those. Now that was one of the coolest things ever. Absolutely beautiful. Wow. Thank you, my friends. How absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, my dear friends. Hey, gorgeous ones. You're so wonderful. Thank you, sweet friends. Thank you, beautiful ones. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, loveliest. So important to me. Thank you. Thank you, gorgeous ones. Thank you, my dear friends. So beautiful. Have a lovely night. Thank you. Hey, my dear friend. So beautiful. My goodness, you're so beautiful tonight. Wow. Oh, that is great. Hey, beautiful one. My goodness. Gorgeous. Hey. Hey, my friend. Hey, beautiful one. Oh, my gorgeous friend. You are so awesome. So great to see you tonight, sweet friend. Hey, how are you, brother? Oh, how wonderfully done. You could be a sister as well. Love you. That was perfect. You're so incredible. How wonderfully done, beautiful one. How absolutely incredible you are. Thank you, loveliest. Oh, there's my friends. Oh, there's two. Oh, how gorgeous. Wow. So awesome, friends. Beautifully done. Wow, that was great. Thank you, sweet friends. You're so awesome. Absolutely great. Hey, sweet friend. So amazing. Whoa, y'all are doing it together. Whoa, I'm going to follow this one. Oh, it's so amazing. So great to see you tonight. Thank you. Oh, look at that. I can't hear you. Let me see.
You know, almost everybody has stayed on to watch all of this because it's so beautiful. Everything from the Easter being. I'm going to go to gallery view. Let's all twinkle John. Let's give John just some beautiful twinkle love.
Thank
That
you, my dear
was
friends.
amazing. Just amazing.
Such an honor to be here, Scott. Thank you for who you are and who you bring out the best in all of us. And I love you very much. And thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to put John's YouTube channel because somebody asked about where you can watch all of these. So here is the YouTube channel for everybody. And let's all go outside, even if you've got the clouds in the sky, it's a full moon night. Let's go out and give thanks to all being part of this beautiful global peace tribe. I'm going to go back to gallery view to finish us up. Giving thanks for each other, giving thanks for all the blessings in our life. And I have so much love for each and every one of you. It's so good to see you with your cameras on. And hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow morning for a very special Sacred Sunday show. Good night, everybody. And thank you so much for being with us. This was really a good show. And share this with friends, please. Let's build our audience. Tonight's show would have been a really good show to introduce people to the Global Peace Tribe. So good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.